Hello Internet and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel where we question our own identity and build a metaphorical wall around our shared insecurities. As always, I'll be your host Jack Finch as we shuffle in our seats, inquisitively cough and ask the troubling question, what if Donald Trump resigns?
Always such controversy, and I don't know, I've always had controversy in my life and I've always succeeded, I've always won. It was controversial when I ran.
Before we begin, if you're a fan of this video or the LBQ world as a whole, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe bell so you can stay up to date with our latest and greatest uploads. Also, share this video with your friends, family, political rivals and inadequate professional lawmakers so you can make a better deal. The best deals. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could search for information and save the planet at the same time? Well, guess what? You can. Thanks to the awesome guys over at Ecosia. Ecosia is a privacy-friendly search engine with an incredibly special function. Just like every search engine, they use ads, and those ads make money. The difference though, they use that money to cover their monthly costs, and then 100% of their profit goes to planting trees. They've already planted 35 million trees worldwide. They're on track to hit their big goal of 1 billion trees by 2020. Hit that link down below. Donald Trump. Donald J. Trump. Awash is the word with the name on everybody's lips. Donald Trump. Donnie, the Donald. Love him or hate him, the history books will be sure to have a colossal Trump-shaped chapter dedicated to this New York thoroughbred, his life and styles and questionable time spent as the 45th President of the United States of America. Born on the 14th of June 1946, Donald Trump has led an interesting life, to say the least. Businessman, television personality, he took charge of his family's New York real estate business in 1971, renaming it to the Trump Organization and expanding out into Manhattan. They dealt in skyscrapers, hotels, casinos, golf courses, the bread and butter of a young, successful, orange-tinted playboy. The path to glory had much more in store for him though, and in 2016, Trump entered the presidential race as Republican candidate, defeating 16 opponents in the primaries. He became the oldest and wealthiest person ever to assume presidency. But you know all this because despite numerous protests, inflammatory remarks, complete and utter social division, the whole debacle has been wrapped up in potentially one of the largest scandals that the United States has ever witnessed. Since his time in office, Donald Trump has found himself linked to a vast number of scandals. It's a scandalous cough that Trump just can't shake. Collusion with pro-Russia officials, campaign violations and hush money accusations, which have all led to a vocal outcry of President Trump's impeachment. But has that ever happened? Could that ever happen? Well, not according to Donnie. This week, Trump claimed that the economy would collapse if he was ever legally impeached by Congress. In the same context, impeachment means to bring congressional charges that later form the basis for a trial, which constitutionally states that a president shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes or misdemeanors. Has a president actually been impeached before though? Well, yes, twice actually. The most recent being good old Bill Clinton, the 42nd president of the United States. He found himself impeached under grounds of perjury and obstruction of justice after he did the old
"I did not have sexual relations with that woman."
However, when his impeachment reached the Senate in 1999, it failed to get close enough to the 2/3 backing needed in order to bring it to fruition. The other one was Andrew Johnson, the 17th President of the United States, who was appointed in 1865. Again, it failed, but much more of a close call in this case, missing the mark by only one needed vote. You wouldn't be mistaken for thinking that Richard Nixon got impeached as well after his Watergate scandal that potentially pales in comparison to Donnie's web of misdirection and fake news. But Nixon was never impeached. He did the smart thing that any smart person does when facing a colossal shower of turd water. He quit. So, will Donnie quit? Well, that seems like the most likely scenario, but let's put a pin in that for a moment because could Trump be impeached? Theoretically speaking, yes, he could. Whether or not it could ever actually see the light of day is down to one thing though, the House of Representatives, where if it was under Democratic control, impeachment would be imminent. But it's not. The red side are very much in power and the Republican Party still harbours some pretty staunch Trump loyalists who control both the House and the Senate. His approval ratings are still remarkably high. He's still clinging on to power despite that gnawing Russia problem. Somewhere along the line, the straw will break the camel's back. It's an impossible problem with very few impossible solutions. Recently, Michael Cohen, Trump's longtime legal fixer, pleaded guilty to 8 criminal charges, 2 of which include campaign finance violations, which, in Cohen's words, were committed at the direction of the president. Clinton. He admitted to paying hush money to adult film actress Stormy Daniels, as well as former Playboy model Karen McDougal, who were both alleged to have had affairs with Mr. Donald Trump. Slowly, the facade is being peeled away, and as the truth hits the light of day, Donnie's options become fewer and fewer. He's already legally tied into one scandal where his own man, Cohen, stated he would testify against the president in Congress. The clock is ticking. Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York City and current attorney to Trump, recently said that the American people would revolt if the president was impeached. But what would their response be if he resigned? What if he quit on his own volition? Would Donnie ever do that? Personally, I would go so far as to say Donald Trump is far too proud, for lack of a better word, to ever step down from his position in the Oval Office. Compare him to Nixon then, both tied up in groundbreaking scandals, both incredibly divisive public figures, both stubborn, both aggressive politicians. But for me, the difference between the two is that Richard Nixon, although widely hated, was a relatively smart man who inevitably made a smart final decision. And like with most things he's done, I question whether Donald Trump has the wherewithal or the foresight to ever make such a smart decision. Well, what do you guys think? Will Donald Trump ever resign? How would an event like that play out? Speak your mind in the comment box down below. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, why don't you give it a big thumbs up and share this video with a Republican or a Democrat, because political discourse is very important. If you'd like to continue your questioning binge, feel free to hit that playlist floating shortly above. As always, you've been watching Life's Biggest Questions. I've been your host, Jack Finch, and until next time, remember, there's no such thing as a stupid question.